All right, hello and welcome to That's the Point. This is the place where we talk about construction positioning technology. My name is Corey Meyer. Joined by my buddy Jeremy Horn. How's it going?
It's going good.
You're back. It means we're talking about FieldLink. And in this case, we're actually going to talk about a topic that we haven't talked about too often on this show. And it's actually laser layout and going in and using laser layout. So no prism involved. You're just using one of the total stations that has a laser pointer. So we're thinking RI, RPT, 873, in this case, 773. So any of those pointer type total stations. And we're talking about what happens when it doesn't do what you think it's going to do, right? So let's say you had to lay out some points on the floor on your lower surface. You go to stake out that point, or you go to lay out that point, and then it does something crazy, right? And I think we actually have that situation right here, whereas you can just pick a point.
Yeah, so here's an example where if I just set up my total station here, I want to lay out these 2 points for these fixtures. I want the laser to point to the floor. So I do my normal setup like I always would, and then I go into layout, lay out my point, and then select my point. You know, waiting for it to lay out to the floor, but now it just points up into wherever.
I've seen this. This has happened to me.
Yeah.
This is real world. So, okay, so it just went up. It pointed to something that you were not expecting whatsoever. What's the general cause of that?
So 9 times out of 10, or probably 10 times out of 10, really, it's because it's the elevation of that point isn't matching where we're wanting the laser to go. Because, you know, different than when we're using the rod and prism, it doesn't matter the elevation of the point. It's just going to take you horizontally to where that point is, and then once you stake it, it'll tell you the difference of your elevation on here, but it doesn't, really matter. So when we're using the direct laser, it's going to try to go to wherever that elevation of that point is. So in this case, if we go down here to the I button in the bottom right and actually click on the information of those points there, we see that the elevation of that point is 9 feet 7 inches. Our elevation from our setup in this case was 0 for the floor, and so it tried to point up to the ceiling. So in order to fix that, we just need to go to reference elevation, put the laser back down onto the floor, and then reference that to the elevation that our point is, right? So I'm at reference elevation here now. In FieldLink, I would go in here and change this to the 9 feet 7 inches that we just referenced.
It's just going to quickly take a shot.
Yep. And then now that we've referenced that, now it thinks our floor is at 9 feet 7 inches. So now when we go back to layout and select that point at 9 feet 7 inches.
And now when you actually pick the point and you project it, there you go. It's actually going down to the floor like we would expect.
Right.
And this can go either way, right? Like we could have just as easily been wanting to project on the ceiling, but it's projected straight to the floor.
And what I see a lot of too is, they get points in from the office that are at 0, but then they use site control that has a true elevation of like 60. And so the robot thinks it's at 60, and then for it to find 0 is so low that it's pointing like straight down. So, but yeah, the key here is just to make sure that we reference that correct elevation. And then another thing I want to point out, if you do have the advanced version of FieldLink, you'll see a little icon in the bottom right when we're using the direct laser that looks like a robot pointing up to the ceiling. That's a quick tool that we can use once we have our correct elevation how we want. We can actually switch from the floor to the ceiling if we have both.
It will toggle then.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
But it has to be advanced, but then you also have to make sure you set that reference elevation to begin with.
You still want to make sure to begin with your correct
Yep.
laser.
And of course, we do have a video actually on reference elevation, kind of a beginning steps of reference elevation. We'll make sure that we link to that in the step down below. But of course, if you have any question, make sure you reach out to your local building point representative. They're happy to help. This is exactly the stuff that they want to dig into. And don't forget, smash that subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and pointers. And we did it. We're on to the next ones. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on That's the Point.